Hey, it's Maddie, and welcome to my productivity reading vlog. If you don't know what that is, it's this new series that I just started. I've only done one episode so far, so this is going to be episode 2. But I really started this series to focus on getting things done for me because my job just takes up a lot of space. It's very chaotic, it's very high stress. Probably why I'm sick right now because I was just probably crashing. But either way, I just really needed a space where I'm focusing on taking care of me, the goals that I need to do, and reading as many books as I can. Honestly, my number one goal for November is definitely to get well because this sickness has been lingering for far too long. The other thing is, right when I got sick, my transmission went out in my car. And luckily, we were able to get a new car a couple days ago, and I'm so happy. So that's a really good productive thing that happened. So I felt like I would update it in this vlog because it felt like it made the most sense to kind of tell you about it because that was going to be on my list if that didn't happen of like trying to figure that out, but we figured it out and I'm so happy and so blessed. And so that is checked off the list, which feels absolutely amazing. But I do have some reading updates for you. So while I was sick, I actually ended up binge reading Listen for the Lie. This was so good. So this is about this girl named Lucy, and she had a best friend, Savvy, that she kind of grew up with in this small town. They were never friends back in high school, but in their early 20s, they end up connecting and becoming best friends. However, Lucy ends up wandering the street one night covered in Savvy's blood, and Savvy is found dead. They always assume Lucy did it but could never prove it. She moves away and starts a whole new life. However, there is a podcast that comes out a few years later, and she ends up getting kind of drawn into the podcast, teaming up with the podcaster Ben to try to solve what is even happening. Is she even the one that did it? Because also she doesn't remember a single thing from that night. So she's not even sure if she did it or not. And she ends up getting reeled back to that Texas town because I think she moved down to like California or something. And she ends up getting reeled back to Texas by her grandma, who, by the way, is one of the best characters. She is everything. She made this book so funny. She really felt like a whole presence in the book, and I just absolutely adored her. I could have gotten so much more of her. She always dropped in and she was always stirring the pot in some way or another, but it was just really funny. And I love that she just said what she thought, and she was great. I just loved it. Either way, I thought this was amazing. I thought the podcast was done really well. I love how everything was interwoven. I loved how everything was unraveling and how you kind of got snippets from when Lucy was friends with Savvy. You got snippets from her life in the beginning when she moved away to the town, and then you get her going back to the town and slowly things unraveling. I think if there's one word I would use to describe this book, it's addicting. It was so addicting. I could not put it down. I needed to know what happened. And I did. I literally binged it an entire day. And I would definitely recommend the audiobook because I think it made the podcast so much better. It was really good. So now let's get into my potential TBR for the next few days. I have quite a bit to get to. I obviously will not finish all of these, but I do actually think I could finish a good chunk because I have quite a few on audio. So I'm hoping to kind of bust those out. And then I also have a couple short books that I can kind of just pick up here and there that I do think I could complete as long as I'm consistently picking them up here and there throughout the week. So let's just rapid fire through this list because one of my goals for this vlog is definitely to catch up on my reading goal now that we're coming up to the end of the year, getting books read that I kind of started and not leaving unfinished books to the next year because I just want to start with like a clean slate. So some of the books that I'm currently in the middle of are Two Sides to Every Murder. I'm actually on page 117. I honestly had the coziest morning starting this book the other day. I ate some pumpkin soup, had some delicious coffee, and just stayed in bed, which I haven't done, and I can't even tell you when. I definitely want to finish this one up. And then a couple of my audiobooks are Apprentice to the Villain. This is the second book in the Assistant to the Villain series. I don't really know what the series is called, but either way, I'm enjoying it so much, and I'm super happy to be back in this one. I know I will binge this because this series is so good, and I'm really excited to be in the second book and to be able to get more of Sage and the Villain. I'm absolutely obsessed. And then I'm also also listening to Lights Out, so I'll listen to this throughout the week. I'm having such a fun time. And then I'm also listening to the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I feel like I could finish this in 2 or 3 hours with the speed I'm listening to it. And it's just very fast paced. The font is huge on the page. So I'm very excited to continue listening to that. So those are all the books that I'm like in the middle of. And then I also wanted to try and catch up on a couple of my book club books. I just needed to play a little catch up, and I felt like this would be the perfect space to just knock these out. So I'm definitely going to be prioritizing The Love of My Afterlife as well as Looking for a Sign. So I'm definitely going to try to get through those. And then a couple of shorter books that I think that I could bust out in like an hour are Heartstoppers Volume 5. This is just like a graphic novel series that is absolutely adorable. I could literally read this in 30 minutes and definitely get this one done. And then also, I want to pick up throughout the week Secrets of the Octopus, maybe just read a couple pages here and there. And then lastly, I also have the audiobook for Mile High, so I need to start chipping away at this one because I need to read this one and one other one to get to a certain book for a video that I'm doing for Book This. And so I thought this would be the perfect vlog to just kind of throw this in and get started on it. That is the tentative, extremely long, insane TBR. But if I do finish most of these, I could have quite a good stack. So we'll just see where the week takes us. Honestly, I feel like I could finish a couple of them tonight, especially if I listen to the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, because I only have a couple hours before this one is finished. And then maybe if I read Heartstopper Volume 5, that would already automatically knock 2 off the list. So I ended up finishing Heartstoppers Volume 5. For some reason, I thought this was the final volume. So the entire time I was reading it, I was kind of waiting for things to wrap up. And when it didn't, I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, this is not an ending. And then I read at the very end, it said Volume 5 is going to be the conclusion for this series, which is just going to be so sad. But I'm also excited to see kind of how she's going to wrap everything up. This was such a cute volume, as are all the volumes, but it was kind of sad because Nick and Charlie were talking about when they go off to university and are they going to be able to stay together, because Nick is leaving for university this next year, and then Charlie will be leaving the year after, and they're kind of having to navigate through what they're going to do and how they're going to make their relationship work. I feel like that's such a hard thing to navigate through because you have all these plans that you want for your future, but also if you're with your person, that is just everything. And you don't want to just give that up, but you also don't want to give up where you might want to go to school or your dreams either. And trying to navigate how to balance both those things and make that all work can be a challenge. But I just am so excited to see how it comes together, because I feel like Nick and Charlie are going to figure this out. They better, because it would be just such a tragedy if she tears them apart. Like, that would be heartbreaking. These are supposed to be heartwarming, and yes, there are some challenging topics. Yes, we discuss mental health and other things, but it's Nick and Charlie, so they gotta work it out. I actually think next I'm going to be focusing on Apprentice to the Villain, just because I'm having such a good time listening to this. I am totally in it, and I definitely want to do a reread and go back and physically read it only and then annotate it, but I am just enjoying the audiobook so much. But there's definitely already so much I want to go through and annotate, so I'm excited to do a reread of these books because I'm obsessed. Like, Evie and the villain just getting juicier in the second book. Even though nothing's really happened, it feels like the tension is just so glorious, and I cannot wait for more things to come because it is just so fun and I love their interaction. Also, you're just getting to see how absolutely spunky Evie is, and I love it. I'm loving every second. Okay, I have some stunning reading updates. So I ended up finishing The Pumpkin Spice Cafe as well as Apprentice to the Villain. And even more stunning news, this was a 5-star. I absolutely love this world. Evie and the villain's dynamic is just everything. I cannot get enough of it. And this didn't feel super YA. I feel like the author really went for it, which I absolutely loved. If this had been adult, I don't think my heart could have taken it. It would have been, it was already so good in perfection, but like if this had been an adult, I don't even know what I would have done. I just loved Evie and the villain teaming up. I loved all the side characters. They felt so full and a huge part of the story. They didn't feel like they were just there to push the story forward. I really enjoyed hearing about the characters, and I feel like I got to know a lot about each of the side characters as well, not just Evie and the villain. And I am very impatiently waiting for the next book. And then I ended up finishing The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. This took me all of like 4 hours to listen to. This brought all the cozy fall, small town vibes. It definitely felt like a Gilmore Girls episode, to be honest. Like I felt like I was back in that world, but in a completely different way, and everything topsy-turvy, if that makes any sense. Because in this story, Jeannie's the coffee owner, which just feels super topsy-turvy, and then Logan, I kept thinking his name was Luke just because he felt so much like Luke. And definitely they had their own little charm, their own little quirks. Like I said, the story was definitely a little bit different, but you could definitely feel the inspiration. And I really enjoyed it, honestly. It made me want to go sit down and watch Gilmore Girls again, which is just an absolute favorite of mine. I remember my mom used to scrap scrapbook, and I used to sneak behind her when I was like a little kid and like peer behind her back and watch Gilmore Girls from behind her back, pretending like I was asleep behind her. And I thought I had fooled her for many years, but it turns out no such luck. She knew that I was watching Gilmore Girls with her, and it was kind of our thing where I pretend to sleep and watch Gilmore Girls, and she would do her little scrapbooking, and it was such a cute, cozy moment. So that show has so much nostalgia and so many fond memories tied to it beyond the show itself. And then that was my comfort show in high school and in middle school. So, as for so many people, it just brings me so much comfort, and any slice that I can get that puts me back into that feeling is amazing. So, that's why I really did enjoy this. I'm not really sure what my rating is going to be. It's not a 5, but it's definitely like maybe a 4.25. Those are the two books I ended up completing. Now, the next book that I'm working on finishing is Lights Out. I don't have it on me right now. I've just been listening to it here and there, but it is so good, so unexpected. And when I read the synopsis, I was like, oh, what am I getting myself into? But it's so good. I actually ended up getting it from Probably Smart Book Club, and I wanted to show you the next book that I actually got from them. It just came in. It's Pack Darling. This is a complete duology. I just love their special editions. They are so gorgeous. I would show you the shirt I got from them, but it says A Reader Lives a Thousand Lives, and it's this gorgeous purple, kind of like this, but definitely a deeper shade and a little bit more purple, I would say. I guess like kind of this color, if I'm being honest. So these are the little bookmarks it comes with, and this is the exact same design minus the books on the side. Wait, actually, does it have books on the side? I can't remember, but it does have A Reader Lives a Thousand Lives on the front, and it's so cute. And then we have these little annotation tabs that it comes with, which I absolutely love. I love that it comes with a t-shirt, a bookmark, annotation tabs, a special edition book, and then, if it couldn't get any better, they give you this book journal when you first start your subscription. And every month it comes with some of these pages. I think it comes with a little stack of them. And then you can just add them to your journal. And I absolutely love that. I think it's such a great idea. And I definitely want to start using these or throwing them in my other book journal. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do or how I'm going to utilize them, but I'm so happy to have them on hand because I think that they're amazing. And I love to have this really nice book journal binder. I think it's really good quality, and all their products are super, super good quality. So I'm very obsessed with that. So I had to show you. As for the productivity things of this vlog and getting some of the to-do list things done, I have to return some library books. When my car's transmission went out before we got our new car, I had no way to return the library books. So they are significantly overdue. So I'm really stressing about it, and I just want to go return them. So I'm going to do that on the way to picking up my husband. I don't know if we're going to have like a ton of time to browse, but I'm definitely going to check that off my list because that will feel amazing. I'm about to head out for work, but I wanted to give you my quick library haul from last night. I was only in there for 15 minutes, sadly, so I might have to go back today. But I did end up just grabbing a couple things that were on my radar. I saw so many good choices though, and I definitely want to go back and look at some of the other sections. But let me just quickly run through what I did end up picking up last night. So I ended up picking up Among the Living. I've actually checked this out previously and just didn't end up getting to this. I believe this is like an environmental horror, and it just sounded really interesting, and I wanted to give it a go and see. And I feel like it would be perfect for this time of year. It feels like it's going to have a very like cold, wintry setting. I could totally be wrong about that, but I'm excited to find out one way or another either way. And then I ended up getting a Jackal. I wanted to read this for so long. If I don't get to this from the library, I just need to pick up my own copy because I've checked this out like 4 or 5 times, and I really, really want to get to it. And I've heard amazing things about this. And then I ended up picking up When the Reckoning Comes, and it's really short too. So I feel like this would be a good one to check off another book for the end of the year. And then we also have Sisters of the Lost Nation, which has really intrigued me. So I thought I would pick it up from the library and see how I like it. That's my little library book haul. And then I also forgot to show you yesterday when I was showing you like my PS book club stuff, is that they also give you sticker packs as well. So you get a t-shirt, a bookmark, annotation tabs, new review pages for your binder, special edition book, and then also stickers. It is honestly the coolest subscription box. I really, really love it. And speaking of subscription box, another really cool one is one you obviously all know about, but that's a book of the month, and I ended up getting my box yesterday. So I thought I would just show you the books that I ended up getting. I feel like for November I got somewhat of a diverse range. So I ended up getting Someone in the Attic, and then oh my god, this cover is so beautiful. But I ended up getting The Teller of Small Fortunes. I'm just so obsessed with this cover. It is beyond gorgeous, and I'm really excited. The font is super big and the chapters seem fairly short, so I feel like this would be a really good one to try to knock off before the end of the year. And then I also got The Last One at the Wedding. Oh, I left one of my books in the other room. I'm gonna have to go grab it after I show you this one. And then P.S. I Hate You. Let me go get the other one because it is stunning. And then the last one is Bloodguard. This edition by Book of the Month is a whole another level. And the fact that this was like $10.99 or something like that as an add-on is just amazing. Like, this is stunning, and I'm really excited to get to that one. So that's my little Book of the Month haul. And then also last night I forgot to mention about Apprentice to the Villain. This has a phenomenal found family. I think that's why the side characters feel so well developed and such a huge part of the story, because the villain truly made this beautiful found family around him unintentionally, and it brought so many different people together who really needed a place to feel like they belonged. And it was just so beautiful to watch them all find that love and that connection, and being able to see them deal with all of these complications and go on these adventures and stick up for each other and have each other's backs. And it was just super beautiful to be a part of. So that's also why I feel like this was such a strong book, because it was just such a beautiful found family, and you really got to see each character figure out that they found this place where they belong and they found their way within this group. And so you got to see that slowly over the story, which was really cool. So that's the other thing that I forgot to gush about for Apprentice to the Villain yesterday. I cannot wait to reread this series and annotate it. I'm just gonna have the best time. So plans for today, I have a ton of driving to do, so I'm gonna try to do as much reading as possible. I think my goal is to finish Lights Out because I'm so close to finishing. It doesn't look like it, but this book flies by when I do sit down and listen to it. I get quite a chunk read, so I feel like because I'm driving so much, I'm just going to finish the audiobook for this. By the way, if you do pick up this book, definitely pick up the audiobook because I feel like it just makes the book so much better. And the story was not what I expected. Like, when I was reading the trigger warnings, I was like, what am I getting myself into? But this is honestly super, super good. So I'm just really excited to finish this off. And this actually has the potential to be a 5-star. This vlog, I feel like, is getting some real winners here, and I'm very happy about it. here to wrap things up. I ended up finishing two more books, which just feels amazing, and I really enjoyed both of them. I actually ended up reading them both in like about a day and a half because I was just sitting down and binging books, and I feel like I just have been on a really good reading routine, a really good reading kick as much as I can be, and I've just been really enjoying it. I think being sick has definitely helped. I will not argue that. And sadly, I did not reach my goal of getting better by the end of this vlog, so that is not a win, but I definitely tried my hardest because wow, I cannot kick this. It's been pretty bad, but we just will not talk about that and move right along to my thoughts on both the books that I ended up finishing. So I finished A Mile High and I really enjoyed this. At first, I was like, okay, where are we going with this? What am I going to think about Xander's especially? I did enjoy Madison and Stevie and Indy and all the other characters pretty quickly, but I was, warming to Xander slowly and then I kind of got it, okay? And I think one of the things that I love the most about this book was really just the found family and how everyone just had each other's backs, and even when they made mistakes, there was kind of some understanding of where people were coming from and just trying to be supportive but growing through those mistakes, which I really enjoyed. And I feel like found family has really been a major theme in a lot of the books that I've read during this vlog, and I'm really enjoying it because it's really cool to see all the different found families and all the different types of stories that I read, because I did read quite a variety of books throughout this vlog. Also, Stevie struggled a lot with her weight, or I should say, she struggled a lot with how people treated her because of her weight, which skewed her perception of herself and made her have good days and bad days, which like relatable because I've had two children, so my body is not what it was before I had kids. Definitely have a good days and bad days, and definitely changed the way people treated me, people's perception of me. And I think she is getting that on a large scale because she is in the public eye, not just with Xander's, but also because of her brother, who's a famous basketball player. And so she really has to deal with a lot of like media criticism, and she's really tried to stay out of the media in relation to her brother. She doesn't really tell people that her brother's a famous basketball player. And then there's Xander's, who is a famous hockey player, so he's definitely in the media as well. And so she's really surrounded by people who are heavily in the media, and she feels very exposed by that. Xander's is really struggling in his own right. He has some deep-seated mommy issues, rightfully so. His mom took off on the family when he was a teenager because she wanted a different lifestyle. She didn't really care about leaving her kids and really didn't find any interest in them unless there was some monetary value. So he really, really struggles with feeling accepted and like he belongs. And then there's this media persona that's being pushed of him being this bad boy, and he's just really a big softie, but it's just really not being portrayed that way, and he feels like he's going to lose everything and that he doesn't have any value unless he's making the big bucks, because that's the only value his mom found in him. And so Stevie also has some issues with her mom, who comments a lot on her weight and doesn't think she is living the life that she should be. And so there's just a lot going on in here. That's only like the tip of the iceberg, but they both have a lot of deep-rooted mommy issues that they're really trying to deal with and work through, and I feel like they really support each other through their issues. And yeah, there's some complicated moments, there's some mistakes, there's some growth, but I feel like what's cool about this story is that both of the characters really learn and grow through everything. And then I also read The Love of My Afterlife, which honestly gave me life through my sickness. And I'm just really happy that I read this right now. It was exactly what I needed. It was so fun. And I don't really want to go into much about it because I feel like if you go in more blind, it is so much more fun. You kind of know what's starting to happen pretty early on, but still, it's just really fun to watch it all unravel and to see that turn, because I did not know that there was going to be that turn. What I loved about the story, again, it was an amazing found family. The characters were so quirky and fun. They were making me laugh all the time. Delphi was a character. She truly was. And I really loved how the ending all came together, and just seeing her find her people after all these years, all this hurt, all this time feeling like people just suck and no one's gonna have her back. And then really having so many people rally around her was just so beautiful. And you know what this reminds me of? The movie, I think it's called Leap Year. I used to watch this movie obsessively, if you know what I'm talking about. That movie was so good, and so much of this book just had the same tone. And I don't know exactly what it was, or I can't put my finger on it exactly, but for some reason, this heavily reminded me of that movie. Completely different storylines, but there was just this tone to it that was reminiscent, and I absolutely loved it. I think the quirkiness of the characters and like the found family through the adventures and just like the rivalry that's kind of going on in this story, that's all I'll say. But it was so good. Like I was laughing, which then of course led to a cough attack because of how sick I am. And that is another book down. The only book I didn't end up finishing was Secrets of the Octopus. I think I'm just gonna read this slowly before the end of the year because it is a nonfiction and I really want to take my time with it and learn as much as I can and take as much as I can from it. And I feel like binging it is not gonna do that for me. But I did want to share one really cool fact that I learned. I mean, there were so many cool facts that I learned, but this is one of the most recent ones that I read. So it was talking about a species of octopus that instead of hiding from prey, they make themselves really vibrant because it's kind of like a warning, like, hey, we're here. And if you don't back up, we're going to take you out. So it says 10 species of blue ringed octopus that are found in various regions. They look dull gray or beige when resting, but if they're threatened, their skin flashes bright with up to 60 neon blue iridescent rings set off by black outlines on a cream or yellow background. Like the lights on an ambulance or police car, the rings pulse to ensure they capture attention. These octopuses are advertising a weapon. With the help of symbiotic bacteria that live in their salivary glands, they possess a neurotoxin venom 1,000 times more deadly than cyanide. Their lives depend on potential predators heeding their warning to stay away. So I thought that was super, super interesting. The fact that it's 1,000 times more deadly than cyanide, that is terrifying. But we ended up finishing quite a few books in this vlog, which feels very productive to me. So I think that this video was pretty successful. We got a couple things down on our to-do list. Now we just have to try to get better. The other thing I have to mention about Mile High I thought was really fun is that Xander's best friend is Madison, which is my name, and then his wife's name is Logan, which is my son's name. So I thought that was just a fun thing to see in the book. But either way, let me know if you read any of those books, if you plan to pick any of them up. My plans for the rest of November are just to focus on pre-filming for Bookmas, so you probably won't see me until December, but I hope you have a good rest of your month. I hope you have a good holiday if you celebrate, and I will see you in December for Bookmas.